Hey everyone, I'm back and I am on surgery rotation and I'm actually on call right now. So if I have to leave, that's where I have to go back to the hospital. So I thought I'd do a quick video in between patients and getting back to the OR. So what I'm going to talk about today is kind of like a one-on-one traveling to the Caribbean for med school. So whether it's Ross, SGU, AUC, it's not specific to one country, but I just thought I'm getting so many emails about kind of what I did to prepare to go down to the island and little tips and tricks that I wish I knew before going down. So the first thing is that you think the Caribbean, it's super hot, you're gonna be sweaty. That is very true, but at the same time, the classrooms and testing center and everything like that is quite cold. So what I did, I think I went home for Christmas and I brought back down heavier clothing. So obviously bring your shorts and your tank tops and hats and sunscreen and all that stuff that you can probably get sunscreen down there. But just make sure that you are bringing a little bit heavier clothing. So like light sweaters. I brought like comfy sweatpants and that actually saved me. You can buy little blankets on island as well. But if you have like a special blanket you want to bring down and it's your study blanket, then for sure do that. Next is there is stationery on island. I did touch on this a couple videos back, but I'm a stationery queen, so I thought I would just state it again. Is that there is a little store called the James store. This is for Ross specifically. There is stationery on island, and I know the bigger islands like where AUC is, it's on St. Martin, and then I think SGU is on Grenada, and I'm assuming that if Dominica has some stationery supply store, then they would as well. It's not the best quality though, so if you're really like a stationery stickler and you like your really nice pens and highlighters, then I would definitely get them before you come to the island. The next big thing is the barrel. So I have gotten so many emails about these barrels, and I think if my husband and I were going to do it again, we wouldn't even do a barrel. So what it is you have the option to send down a barrel from your country. So we're Canadians, so we flew through Toronto, and actually our little barrel site was near Toronto Airport as well. And we heard from the island, and I don't know if SGU and all the other Caribbean islands do this, so I'm guessing this is more Ross tailored, but you can send a big massive barrel down filled with clothes or food. I wouldn't send electronics or anything like that. And we heard is that at the port of entry when it gets to Dominica, the tax is kind of a free-for-all. So it's some guy that's looking in the barrel real quick and it's like, $200 tax with no written paperwork of what was taxed and the prices and stuff. So we thought we were really smart. And instead of sending food or any stationery supplies, because anything brand new you bring down is like a 200% tax. I know on electronics it is, so don't send any electronics in the barrel. I'd bring them with you. Is that we would bring all of our stationery and like some granola bars and kind of stuff we brought from Canada in our suitcases, and then all of our clothes we put in the barrel because they're all of our stuff, right? We're not going to tax them. They're not new, they're used. Yeah, we definitely had not the best experience with that because they still taxed us like $350 or something ridiculous because they thought that we were selling our clothes. So we got the barrel and then they charged us with this massive tax pretty arbitrarily, just like $350, and we asked for paperwork and why, and it was more of like a selling thing. But anyway, so to be honest, I probably wouldn't even do a barrel. There's snacks down there. You can bring your stationery with you and then just pack as many like suitcases that you need. To be honest, I wouldn't do more than one or two because there is a chance that some luggage gets lost. And we've been really lucky, like knock on wood, whenever we traveled to Dominica, all of our luggage was there, but I know like 98% of the time, someone in our circle of friends lost luggage on the way down. But we'll talk about more flights a little bit later. So barrel, I probably wouldn't do it if I would do it again. If you are going to do it, I would buy a littler barrel. There's like a big one that we bought, but if you want like specific snacks and stuff, and if you're dying for KD, if you're from Canada or something like that, then you can for sure send that down, but just be wary that there will be a fee and there's no paperwork documenting what that fee was for, just to let you guys know. So next, I didn't know this, when we landed in Dominica, there is like a 45 to 50 minute really windy ride to the campus and where you'll be living. And no one really tells you this. So if you get like really motion sickness, and even if you don't get motion sickness, you have not been in Dominica in those roads before. So I would bring Dramamine. You can get those little patches you put behind your ear, maybe some Gravol or anything like that to make that ride a little bit more smooth. I get really motion sickness. So whenever we had clinic that was like past the airport in fourth semester, I would always make sure I had Gravol or some other students had Dramamine patches to just put behind your ear, and that saved my life. I was a little groggy kind of at the beginning of the clinic, but then you kind of just wake up and you're fine. So it is like a 45-minute drive. When you land the very first time for orientation, so I think September is actually coming up, so yeah, the September intake will be there soon. Ross will organize these big shuttles to take you there, to take you to campus. But any other time, you have to organize a taxi ride. It's really cheap compared to North America. So if you need like 10 people need to go to the airport, they'll give you a really good discount and you guys will all get there for super cheap. But the first time you do land, Ross does set up shuttles for you, so you don't need to worry. Next is you have to buy electricity. I don't know if it's the same for different islands, but I know for sure at Ross and near Ross campus that you have to physically go and buy your electricity. We hooked up ours online, so it's, I forget the name. I think it's like Dominica Power. Domlek, my husband just yelled at me. Domlek, I don't know how you remembered that. But anyway, so you just call Domlek and let them know that you are here, and then you give them your apartment number and your apartment name, and they set it up for you and have like a little meter. But there's a lot of apartments that you physically have to go to, like IGA, or there is Uncles and all that stuff that that sell. And Uncles, you'll get to know it, and there's a couple other little restaurants that do end up selling electricity. So you have to physically buy electricity and then your lights go on. So I know it's a little bit different, but that's kind of the one thing. We got in, we hit the 45-minute travel time, and then we got checked in at Ross, and then we went home and our whole place was dark, and we're like, okay, this is new. And then our landlord thankfully put like $10 on for us, so we'd have enough for like a couple days. So that was very nice. So just be wary of that you do have to buy electricity there. I did touch on this topic, it's outlets. So I think there was like a couple videos back now where I talked about, it's like a UK style outlet. So you gotta make sure you bring adapters. A couple of our chargers kind of got fried, and then I fried my hair dryer, I think, like the first week, and realized that make sure the voltages are the same. I think they use a 240, 220 voltage. But you guys can look and just Google like UK adapters and see what it looks like. Just make sure that you can have even buy like a multifunctional adapter that gives you a lot of variety. Next is traveling to the island. So we are Canadian, and this applies to all the islands, is that you want to make sure that you have the most direct flight there. It is a long day, and I know a lot of people that do like 22-hour fly times because it's cheaper. You just want to get to the island. That's my thing. You're going to save a couple $100, but is it really worth it? No, just get to the island. So what we did Toronto to Barbados, Barbados to Dominica. And that ended up being the smoothest flights that we found. I know a lot of people from Cali and all that stuff, they kind of flew to Dallas, and then Dallas to Florida, and then Florida to like St. Kitts, and then St. Kitts to St. Martin, and St. Martin. Like all these little tiny islands, what they have are little flighter planes. So they don't go that often. They're always late. You will miss your flight. Like granted, for some reason, my husband and I had like the best time because we never missed a flight and all of our luggage. But that if you talk to anyone else in Dominica and at Ross alone, you will see that a lot of people had trouble with luggage and flights leaving on time. So my highest recommendation for you is try and get to the closest port of entry. So what we did Toronto to Barbados. Obviously, I just said that, but we would stay over in Barbados to give that buffer time. Because what a lot of people did was try and fly and catch those little fighter planes, and it never works. Honestly, all of our friends have gotten stuck or lost luggage because they're trying to rush and make a long day even longer. So we would just fly to Barbados, stay over, then catch a little fighter plane from Barbados to Dominica. And the same thing goes, we met a lot of AUC and SGU and all these other students that were trying to fit them all in on the same time and the same day, and it's just way too much. So biggest advice, try and get closest to the island, stay over wherever you are, whether it's like St. Martin, St. Kitts, Guadeloupe, Martinique, whatever, stay that night, and then fly to your corresponding island that next day. And it will save you a ton of time. Yes, you spend an extra $100 at a hotel, but it will save you the hassle of trying to find your luggage and all that stuff, and less stress. Like, no one wants stress when they're traveling, especially when trying to make another flight, and it's just stay over. Biggest tip ever of this whole video, if you don't listen to anything else, just have the most smoothest, most direct flight to your corresponding island. It may cost you a couple extra $100, but it's so worth it. Ross alone, it is upon leaving the country, I did not know this, and my parents didn't know this when they were leaving, is that there is a fee. So you have to leave. Oh, there's an ice cream truck. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Anyway, so leaving the island, you have a $59 like tax just from being in the country. So it ends up being like $120-ish every time that you leave if you're traveling with someone. So just really make sure that you guys have enough cash. You can either pay in US or EC. My parents came down and gave us all of their leftover EC, and kind of gave us like their leftover US as well. So when they were leaving the country, they didn't have enough to leave, and they didn't have that exit tax. And so some really nice traveler actually helped them out, but they had absolutely nothing with them. So always make sure you have that enough cash leaving. So if you go home for Christmas or you go home between breaks, I wouldn't suggest leaving in between the semester, but obviously if something comes up, you have to leave. Always make sure you have that cash on you. And I think a lot of the Caribbean islands do have something similar to that. Yeah, and I don't know if there's anything else I need to say. I think I covered absolutely everything. Like the most high yield emails that I get of like the barrel, how do you get to the island, what are your resources that you used. So Liat and Seabourn are the two airlines that I know go to Dominica, and I know that might actually go to the other islands as well. We've had luck with Liat and Seabourn. I think there's a couple other little ones coming up now just because the Caribbean route is starting to get more popular. And I know Ross was talking about maybe partnering with Liat to have like its own airplane for luggage. So then it was almost guaranteed you would get your luggage. So I don't know, that might be in place now. It's been 2 years before like I've been on the island. So that might be set up now. So you guys can check at the airport to see if that's there. But other than that, I mean, getting to the island was really tough, but at the same time, staying over that night before and then catching that little flighter plane over saved you a ton of time. So I hope this helps, because I wish I knew all these little tiny nuances before going down to the island. And I know that a lot of you are kind of wondering because the semester intake is starting soon. So if you guys have any specific questions, or I didn't cover something that you wanted to know, just comment below. And I am getting a lot of comments, and I try and get back to the comments within like a couple days. But starting surgery this week, it's just been really hectic and trying to understand my hours. So any specific questions about Ross, I can try and answer a couple about SABA, or SGU, or AUA, because I have a couple friends at each one. And I'll try and maybe reach out to them and then kind of get some answers for you guys. So I am off to the hospital, but I want to say thank you guys for watching, and any comments, just leave them below. See you later. Bye.